mean, I always thought like vegans were just like, a bunch of hippies who, tree huggers and stuff like that. I didn't understand their lifestyle.
Hi, I'm Leila Tehran. I'm an Iranian living in London, and I have been vegan for over 6 years.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. So you served in the US military before becoming a professional vegan bodybuilder. You're also a fitness trainer, you're a health coach, and you're also an online coach. Did I forget something?
Well, I've been vegan for about 8 years. And one of the main reasons why I went vegan is basically for animal ethics. I didn't agree with a lot of violence and, pain and suffering that these farm animals go through. My mindset and my perspective was completely different until I heard Gary's speech. Before his speech, I was eating meat just like anyone else. I really didn't think about it. When it came to farm animals and stuff like that, I had the same mindset like everyone else who consumes meat. It's part of life. We're part of we're top of the food chain, things like that. And, the term vegan, I really never met anyone before. I used to own pets too. Like I owned pets growing up and stuff like that. So, my mindset when it comes to loving animals probably wasn't the same like it is now. Definitely I was had a lot of what the term we use is speciesism, so that was definitely the lifestyle I lived. I didn't see all animals equally, even though I thought I did, because when I would go to zoos and aquariums, I looked at it as like, all right, well, these animals are safer here than in the wild, and humans are using it for research and also for display and to take care of them. I really never looked into what happens behind the scenes when it comes to animal exploitations. The same thing when it comes to the consumption of farm animals. I never really looked that deep into it and really saw the truth. I didn't give Gary like a bunch of fallacies. Like the only thing I asked him, the only question I had after seeing everything was, where do you get the protein? If you're telling me if all this is wrong, which I think is wrong too, like you can't, it's undeniable. Like you can't, it's like, look at these animals. They're suffering. I can't put a blind eye on that. It's obvious, right? Like you have to be literally blind, if you can't see the expressions on these animals' face, Do
you think if you had listened to that same speech, for example, before you went to the military, would that have made a difference?
I wouldn't be able to answer that question, just because the thing is that, you're talking to someone who's been in the military for 8 years, started joining. I joined when I was 17. So a lot of things that my goals, dreams, vision was completely different. So it is a hard question. I don't know if I would have listened to the guy. I was doing a lot of training, and my attention and focus was not really food consumption. It was mostly about survival, because it was during a war period. I deployed to Operation Iraqi Freedom 3 and 4. So my mindset back then was really about mission accomplishment and just surviving. It was really survival. I'm watching news, I'm reading news articles, trying to see the next deployment, what's happening in the world, situation with war, like what Bin Laden's plans next, like I was a Marine, so it's like, food consumption, stuff like that, like health, none of that really mattered.
You were a different person back then, and you have changed. I'm just wondering how much has actually the military changed you? Do you think that made you actually more perceptive to Gary's talk?
Once I heard Gary's speech, and once I started transitioning, because I didn't just go vegan, I went pescatarian first. But through that transition, and when I started, consuming more plant-based foods into my lifestyle, my psychology started changing, how I was thinking about life, the job I was actually doing. Well, the job I'm doing is surrounding about violence and death and killing and abuse, and which is understandable because, again, it was still during wartime, that unit was about to deploy to Afghanistan. And I was just like, do I want to continue with this and try to change myself? And then the second thing was, once I started doing more plant-based foods, I also started I started going more towards Buddhism when it came to spiritual beliefs, just because it was a lifestyle change. And my mindset was changing about how I was looking at animals. I feel veganism and Buddhism kind of intertwined with each other, but with the Buddhism, it's actually you get that spiritual side, but it kind of forces you to put it into practice as well with the vegan belief system. With the combination of those two, like, my whole lifestyle changed, and that's when I quit the Navy. Like, I just got out. I couldn't do it anymore, just because I knew, like, my intentions was changing, like who I was changing. That's why I left, and then started going more into like physical fitness, health, because it was a job that kind of revolved around compassion and life, versus death and destruction.
Hello, my name is Carol and I'm from England. I'm vegan, and being vegan is so easy. By being vegan, your conscience is completely clear. You no longer have to contribute to the trillions of animals that are killed and have to suffer for so-called food.
What benefits have you seen, in yourself, in your abilities as an athlete?
I've seen a lot of differences when it comes to like just maintaining like a weight, like it's very easy, especially when you kind of revolve your diet mostly on a whole foods plant-based diet. I mean, I have junk food from time to time, but it's very, very limited. Definitely clarity of my skin, my energy levels, how I feel, recovery, strength, how much muscle I continue to build, my libido increased as well. A lot of positive things that I saw. Even when I look at older pictures, I was hanging out with some of my old friends, and I had like a couple of pictures like from 10 years ago when I wasn't even vegan, and I was showing them like these pictures and minding that like this is when I was in my early 20s, and when we looked at the pictures, they're like, dude, like I thought you were in shape when you were in your 20s, but you actually was fatter. And you look better now. Like you actually look younger and better now, like than these old pictures. And I was like, yeah, it surprises me too, because my face was more round. I was holding more body fat, and I literally thought I was a lot healthier back then. But it's the best I ever felt, the best I ever looked.
A whole foods plant-based diet is made up of four main groups. You have, vegetables, you have fruits, you have grains, you have beans and legumes. It teaches us to minimize refined and processed carbohydrates, added oils, minimizing added oils. So why this is beneficial? I mean, there's a multitude of benefits. Is one, it helps to, I think the biggest one that's been proven in the scientific literature since 1990 is that it helps to reverse heart disease. It also helps to improve diabetes, right, which is a global, epidemic. It helps to lower cholesterol. Okay, it helps us to lose weight. The biggest thing I would want to, emphasize is the concepts of caloric density and nutritional density. And what that basically means is that if you take 500, calories of whole plant food, it takes up a larger part of your, stomach, whereas 500 calories of oil takes up, little. 500 calories of animal-based foods takes up a little. And the difference between that is that it's higher in calories, higher in saturated fat, and, nutritional density means that it's higher in vitamins and minerals and polyphenols, antioxidants. That's where it's more that's where we have mostly in the whole foods plant-based, not to mention the fiber, which is totally zero in animal-based foods.
So when I started doing bodybuilding, I did that as once I became vegan. So I was vegan for at least a year before I started bodybuilding. And I started doing that just because, number one, I wanted to change my environment and my activity that I did on a daily basis. So I always worked out. But before I went vegan and stuff, it was like when I would train, it would be like, Monday through Friday, I would work out. And then Saturday and Sunday, I would like party. And that would be my rest day. And I'm someone who lives in Miami, so a lot of people in Miami party, like that's just part of the culture and the lifestyle down here. It always revolved around like drinking and having fun and eating, junk food. And I had to change that lifestyle too. There's not a lot of bodybuilders who drink, especially award-winning bodybuilders. If you want to be the best, you have to quit the drinking. So that was one part. Another part was also because to do some activism around veganism, it was a good place to do activism when it comes to something that I love. When you have like the activists to open up and show the truth, then you need someone who's going to actually walk them through the rest of the way. And I feel that's where I'm at. I'm like that second person you meet where you're like, hey, I tried the diet and I like it, but I want to really improve it and really incorporate it into my lifestyle more seriously so I can know the truth and be healthy. I love helping others. Also, when it comes to health and fitness, it's a situation, you're in a situation where if people are coming to me, they're coming to me because they need help. I think that's one of the worst parts of our jobs is that, telling the cold truth to people about their health. My dad, he died from a heart attack this year in May, so which is from health issues, so when he passed away, I kind of had that real talk with my mom and told her like, you're next. So like seeing someone dying from like because of food and dietary choices is kind of sad, seeing that like this is something that could have been prevented.
We know from decades of research that people eating a plant-based diet have the lowest risk of illnesses such as ischemic heart disease and heart failure, and also other related diseases such as stroke. And the main reason for this is because a plant-based diet is rich in foods that take care of all the risk factors for heart disease. So on a plant-based diet, you have the greatest chance of being a healthy weight. You have the lowest risk of high blood pressure and high cholesterol. And these are all key mechanisms by which people develop heart disease. And the other reason is because whole plant foods are full of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that prevent inflammation in the body and particularly in the arteries of the heart. You also avoid the unhealthy aspects of an animal-based diet because animal foods have compounds such as nitrates and nitrites and heme iron and saturated fat. So the overall effect of these plant-based diets is that you're able to maintain a healthy weight, you lower insulin resistance, you have a better lipid profile in the blood, a lower blood pressure, and this has a knock-on effect for your vascular health, which is so important for protecting the heart.
So I had that talk with my mom and then told her the same thing, like, this could be prevented, but if not, especially the route you're going, I mean, you're talking about maybe next year in a couple, or maybe in a few 5-10 years, you could be right behind them because, you're 300 pounds and you're not looking good. I actually went to her house and really started doing something more progressive. Like I did a whole kitchen makeover. And when I did this kitchen makeover, it was a very aggressive one. It was very militant, boot camp style, like just, walked in, like if you could think like military for a little bit and just use your imagination, I literally just knocked on her door with a couple trash bags in my hand, went in her refrigerator, whatever that was garbage and wasn't on the meal plan that I made, it went into that trash can. It literally went into the trash bag. And I didn't care what it was, how new it was, how fresh it was, how old it was. If it wasn't on the meal plan, I just threw it away. Just to give you an idea, I threw away like 10 bags of food.
Wow.
You know, yeah, it was a lot of like processed junk food. Oils, dressings that wasn't on. That's not according to my protocols when it comes to dieting. And I was like, only thing going in this fridge is what's on your meal plans, and that's it. Then I just went, bought some foods, prepped her for a couple of days, and then said, like, I showed you how to meal prep. I showed you how to grocery shop. I showed you you're in my program, so you can learn how to count macros and track your foods and all that stuff. So now there's zero excuses. I bought you a cutting board, things that air fryer, a blender, a food scale. So now you have no excuses on why you can't follow this and lose weight, because you're talking to someone who's over 300 pounds, and she's only 5'4". Also, my mom, she's more plant-based. She's pretty much vegan because she got diagnosed with diabetes.
When you adopt a plant-based diet, you avoid all the unhealthy compounds that are present in processed foods and also meat and dairy and eggs that really increase the risk of type 2 diabetes. So the main reason why plant-based diets are really optimal for preventing and treating diabetes is because it's rich in fiber. Plant-based diets have a low glycemic index. They're high in nutrients such as antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds that reduce insulin resistance. And they have a lower level of saturated fat and higher levels of unsaturated fat, which is key in preventing insulin resistance. For example, saturated fat accumulates in muscle and liver cells and makes these cells resistant to the action of insulin.
Family members are definitely the hardest to change, just because they don't see you as a professional. They see you as a family member. So it's a lot of, when it comes to your occupation, a lot of disrespect. Like, they don't really listen, you know what I'm saying? And this is normal. It's not even with the vegan thing. I think this is just normal when it comes to family. Like, there's a saying, but I forgot how it said, but they said, like, it's like, you have a doctor in the family and you don't listen to them. It's like, it's the same thing, like, you have a doctor, a police officer, a lawyer in your family that try to give you advice for stuff. I mean, are you going to listen to them? Probably not, especially if it's someone who's you're very close to and stuff. You're probably not going to give them the same respect versus like someone who's paying for service.
We really need to, I would say, take back our health by being in the kitchen. You know what's in your food, right? And so there's a lot of different approaches. Obviously, because of your family members, everyone has different ways of viewing food, and people don't like to change their behaviors or lifestyle. Number one, get rid of, the unhealthy foods, right? I call this the candy jar effect, where, if you see something in front of you, right, you're going to continuously reach for it. So it's better to just remove that. And you can do that with, cleaning out your pantry, cleaning out your fridge. Just do a grocery run together, getting yourself educated. What are, of getting, stocking up on the main food groups, right? Knowing where everything is in the kitchen, getting good appliances, and just learning how to cook. We're in an internet age, right? And we're in a social media age. You can look up recipes. You can go on YouTube and just cook together. When you cook together, that brings people together, especially when we need, more connection and more bond, within the pandemic setting.
My name is Tony Winston, and I've been vegan 6 years now, and I live in beautiful Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, so that's why, like I said, that's why I respect the activists, like the ones who's like holding the signs, showing the videos, always talking about it, because it takes a lot of patience, and a lot of courage to deal with a lot of that, because it's just like, you're showing people the truth, and sometimes the truth hurts and it's hard and it's very graphic, and some people just don't know how to respond well when they see the truth, because people feel bad. and everyone has this persona to be perfect, and no one likes being judged. So that's why I feel like when you're not ready to hear it, or if you're not really an open-minded person naturally, it's very hard for people to take it in. Yeah, and this is where you get a lot of negativity. Yeah, and people's like, don't force your views, or live to let live. And people start saying all these crazy things. I don't get a lot of like negative like responses. It's just like, even on my social media, like I don't get that much. It's really rare for someone to put something negative on there, unless I put like a very aggressive post. I'm part of Vegan Strong. Yeah, this is like a nonprofit organization. And just to give you an idea, like we go to like Fit Expos, and also the year before that, I was with Lalani Munter. She was a pro NASCAR driver. She retired, but we were on her tour for her last season, and we were talking to a lot of meat eaters. But even then, we got a lot of positive reviews, because I think it's the approach. Our approach was, we're giving people free tips, free information, free food, and when you give someone that tastes something good, it's a good icebreaker to open up their mind to listen about other alternative options of eating. If I'm giving you like a free Impossible Burger at a race car event, free, and you can get as many as you want for free, I don't think anyone's going to complain, because especially if it's good. Some people were like, they couldn't believe it was plant-based. Some people I had to take back in back of the tent to the cooking station so people could physically see, and remember, this is before COVID. This is all plant-based. And they're like, what? This is crazy. Like, so you're saying the cheese, the mayo, the meat that they're using, and we're like educating people. So, and people were very enticed, especially when at the Fit Expos, we're giving people free supplements, like these are athletes. And if we're telling them like, there's alternative proteins out there, people are very open, because that's like the big thing. Like it's a Fit Expo. Everyone's going to be like, where's the protein? Where's the protein? And one of the things that we notice as well is that when we talked about protein powders, right, and supplements, so how's the whey protein that you're taking? A lot of people are telling us, I have a lot of digestive issues with whey protein. I'm bloated. I'm very gassy. I can't take too much because my stomach would be hurting really bad. And so like that was already an icebreaker, because people already had an issue, and like a physical issue. So like giving them like different alternatives of protein, telling them like, well, we got pea protein.
So a lot of things when you break down protein powders is, one, they're milk-based, right? So why do we want protein powder? So for people that are, exercise enthusiasts, bodybuilders, they want to gain more muscle, right? So a lot of it is based off of our preconceived notion that, the more protein, the better, which a lot of the science and literature shows that that's not necessarily, the best way, not the most healthy way. You have a lot of protein powders that are based off of, animal proteins like casein and whey, which are milk-derived, proteins. Reason why, athletes can have symptoms of bloating and distress, can, be from a number of factors. One is that, protein powders have not just the protein in it. You could have added sugars. It could have additives. It could have, different types of, binders, vitamins, minerals. Casein and whey by itself, they, have a lot of health complications. Animal protein by itself, depending on how it's wrapped, have a lot more health implications, increased inflammation. They're very damaging to our cells, oxidative stress. Casein and whey, there's a lot of studies that show that they do promote cancer growth. There's a lot of links in association with like autism and allergies. Lactose is a milk sugar. That is, not, that's very known to cause a lot of bloating and GI distress.
If you're going out buying like Louis Vuitton purses and stuff, but being cheap on your, the foods that you're consuming, then how you look, your outlook on food is wrong. And we're biological beings. So that means you are what you eat. Like your body is a makeup of what you consume, you know? So if you're eating garbage and low quality foods, you know, that's how your body's going to run and be fueled. But let's say it is a financial thing. Like it's just, you know, you spend your money right, you pay your bills, you don't drink and, you know, do drugs, you don't go out. Money is an issue. It's like a real issue. Then, yeah, I mean, it could be true, but it depends on what you buy again, because when it comes to like most processed foods, that's going to be more expensive just because you're paying for convenience. You're paying for the convenience of the food already being pre-packaged and pre-made. And it's not just vegan food, it's any food that's pre-made. Any type of microwavable food. Like for myself, a quick story for myself, when I was in school, I was unfortunate with money as well. Like I was broke. Yeah, I didn't have a lot of money. So even transitioning, the foods that I ate was a lot of your conventional foods. You know, I couldn't afford organic, you know, like looking at a carton of strawberries, you know, seeing something that's conventional for $2 versus $5, you know, I just went ahead and bought the conventional for $2. It didn't stop me from being vegan. When some people first go vegan and they go too extreme and they don't know how to go with baby steps, because it's like, well, if I'm eating meat, then I would have to buy organic foods. No, organic and non-organic is two different things. Number one, non-GMO and GMO is different. It's just how it's made versus plant-based and animal byproducts. So when people say like vegan is expensive, it's not. You can make it very affordable, but if you at least try, then you'll see that you'll feel the positive benefits from it. And I think once you start seeing like that positive benefits, that'll like build you up and boost you more to change up your lifestyle so you can afford the better foods. Yeah, because that's what I did. I'm a true believer that compassion starts from the plate, you know, and I feel like if more people were vegan and more open to veganism itself, just the lifestyle, people would be more compassionate with each other. People won't see like the difference between race and color, just because when it comes to things like that, your attention span goes more deeper than just the skin. I mean, you're looking at peace and love and compassion through every living being. So like the color and race, just when it comes to people, kind of dissipates because you're looking a little bit more deeper than that. You know, you're looking at it from a bigger perspective of all living beings.
We have been talking about food. What is your favorite food? I know you make a lot of tofu scrambles. Yeah,
that's pretty much is my favorite, is the tofu scramble, just because like it's very high in protein, so you get a lot of protein out of it. But then also it's very high in fiber and vitamins and minerals. So that's one of the reasons why I like the tofu scramble.
So soya is one of the most healthy foods that you can incorporate into any diet, and particularly into a plant-based diet. It's a really great source of protein and other minerals, and it's also a healthy source of unsaturated fats, including omega-3 fatty acids. So it continues to get a bad press, which is always really disappointing. The main reason is that people worry about the plant estrogens, so the phytoestrogens within soya, and seem to think that it'll have the same effect as human estrogen in the body. But this has been proven again and again to be completely wrong. Men obviously worry that they're going to get raised estrogen levels and develop man boobs, but there really is no evidence for this. In fact, quite the opposite. So there was a study in 2020 that brought together the results of over 30 papers on the topic, and showed that there was no impact on male hormone health at all. And in addition, we know that people eating the most soya foods have a reduced risk of the commonest cancer in men, and that's prostate cancer. So really, it is a win-win.
Thank you so much. Now, would you like, how can people get in touch with you?
You could definitely find me more on my Instagram account that I'm mostly active on there. So just type in my name at Korin Sutton and just follow me. There's tons of recipes, motivational posts, especially about nutrition and health.